enjoy learning. Enjoy listening.
106.3 Radio City High.
You listen to learn.
English 9 is up next, only here at 106.3 Radio City High.
Iligan City National High School Campus, Radio City High, is committed to respond to the immediate education emergency. That is to widen the access to education by bringing it to where the learners are.
106.3 Radio City High.
You listen to learn.
Good morning, Iligan City. You are listening to 106.3 Radio City High. This is a radio-based instruction making learning fun and easy. It's another great learning day, dear students. This is Teacher Ruth Manzano, your English 9 teacher for today. Join me to discover and experience fun and challenging adventure in learning grade 9 English. So what are you waiting for? Grab your pen, paper, WHLP, and SLA, and let's begin the exciting journey of learning English. Today, we will be talking about the activities of your lesson for this week. Week 1 in our WHLP or the Weekly Home Learning Plan. Are you ready, guys? Let's start with day 1. Have you tried using verb depending on the mode of how you say or express it? Just like asking polite questions, indicating refusal, or expressing necessity. The topic is about expressing permission, obligation, and prohibition using modals. For you to gain wide knowledge about modals, let's refer at this video.
Down for the long run now. Red Corvette and my drop.
Hi learners! Today, we will talk about modals and hopefully, you will learn most of the things that we need to know about it. Are you ready? Let's go! When we say verb, what we usually think are words that express actions or movements. But that should not be the case all the time. Verb comes in different forms and one of those is modals. Modals are auxiliary verbs or helping verbs. They do not suggest movement or actions. But what they do is to help express what it is to be done with that particular action. Just like permission, obligation, and prohibition. Let us first define these three words. Permission means an authority to do something or for an action to happen. Prohibition means an action or an idea is being limited or not allowed to happen. While obligation means an action or an idea is necessary or required to happen or to be done by the subject. Modals are words that may show but not limited to permission, prohibition, and obligation because some modals function differently besides these three. Let us look at some sentences that has modals in it. You can turn on the television if you are already done with your module. Carla must prepare her part of the report or else she will not be given any credit. Troy has to shade the circle corresponding his answer. You cannot go out without the quarantine pass. Let us dig in further, starting off with the modals of permission. Modals of permission show an act of giving consent or authorization. Words such as can, could, and may are modals of permission. Let us try to differentiate each and know when to use each word. Can is the most common modal used to ask for and give permission, such as, "Can you be my partner in this activity?" You can put your bag on the table. In this sentence, the speaker is asking for permission, while in this sentence, the speaker is giving a permission. Could is used to show polite and formal way of asking permission. It is gracious and good-mannered. Take note that the word could may also signal that permission may not be given. Just like, "Could you bring the chair near the cabinet?" I think I could possibly ask her to prepare the snacks before we arrive. Both sentences express that there is a chance that the speaker will not be granted permission on any of the situation. Among the three modals of permission, the word may is the most formal and the politest way to ask and give permission. Just like, "Teacher, may I go out? I really need to go to the comfort room." In this sentence, the student is asking permission from the teacher. After this session, you may start doing the rest of the tasks scheduled for today. The teacher is giving permission to the learners. Medical staff may take some time to rest during the 15-day strict quarantine period. The medical staff are given permission by the administration. Next is modals of prohibition. Modals of prohibition is the opposite of permission. In this case, an action is disallowed or not allowed to be done or to happen. It is being prohibited, limited, or restricted. Words like cannot or can't and must not or mustn't are restricting words or modals of prohibition. Cannot or can is used to show prohibition of an action if it is against the written rules, laws, and signs. Take note that these rules, laws, and signs are not made by the speaker, like community rules, laws of the Philippine Republic, and signs like road signs and others. Let us check on the following examples. You can't walk around when you hear the national anthem playing. This sentence suggests restriction against the national law. Any drugstore cannot sell you antibiotics without a prescription from the doctor. This one suggests restriction against medical rules. Another modal of prohibition is must not or mustn't. It is used if the speaker does not permit the action to happen or to be done. This time, it is the speaker who sets the rules. The one speaking is the person in authority. Just like in the following examples. You must not answer the tasks on your module if it is not yet scheduled to be accomplished. Here, the teacher is reminding the learners not to answer the module. Parents must not be the ones answering the activity sheets. Parents are not allowed to do the worksheets. Let us now move to modals of obligation. Modals of obligation are words that show the subject's responsibility or duty. Thus, an action is necessary to happen or to be done. Modals of obligation includes have to, must, should, and ought to. Let us differentiate each modals of obligation. Just a few reminders. These words are divided into two categories. One are words that show firm obligation or necessity, and the other group are words that express recommendation or moral obligation. Have to and must are words that show firm obligation or necessity, while should and ought to express recommendation or moral obligation. When we say firm obligation or necessity, this means that the action requires accomplishment or necessary to be done. Have to and must are words you can use for this. Have to expresses that the obligation is given by someone else besides the speaker. Most of the time, the obligation that has to be done is stated as a law or rule, just like safety health protocols have to be observed all the time. Youths have to register to exercise their right to vote during local and national elections. Both sentences show that the obligations are part of the rule or law. Must, on the other hand, is a model of obligation that comes from the speaker. This means that the instruction that has to be followed is given and ordered by the speaker and not by anyone else. For example, Carla must prepare her part of the report or else she will not be given any credit. You must listen carefully to my discussion. Both expresses that the speaker sets the obligation to be done. The second group of modals of obligation are those words that show or express recommendation, suggestion, advice, or moral obligation. These words are ought to and should. Remember that these words indicate that the actions the subject is required or obliged to do may or may not be done depending on the situation. Just like what I have mentioned, these are just suggestions or advice. For example, I think you should take your lunch before traveling. You ought to ask for forgiveness for all the things he said to her. Should you wash your hands before touching anything? When we say no obligation, this means there is no requirement for an action to be done, or simply it is not the duty of the subject to do the action. There is an option to do it or not. Modals showing no obligation are do not have to and does not have to. Just like, you don't have to stand up if you're feeling dizzy. The subject may or may not follow the instruction. Mia doesn't have to fix it if she has no background about circuits. Mia may or may not do the task. And that's all for modals of permission, prohibition, and obligation. I hope this will help you do your tasks and complete your modules. Until next video.
Well. Now that you're able to hear the video, you are now instructed to read and do task 13, Hello Obligation, page 497. What are the two types of modal verbs of obligation? Those that primarily express obligation or necessity, must and have to, and those that express a recommendation or desirable goal, should and ought to. Let's cite number 1 as an example from the given task. Children blank obey their parents. What do you think is the answer? Very good. The answer is must, because it's an obligation. Next is to continue task 13, page 516, using the correct models of prohibition in each of the sentences. Let's provide example to make the activity easier for you. Let's answer number 1. Blank, I stay with the group. Who can guess the answer? The answer is can't. The sentence will be, can I stay with the group? Okay. Lastly, construct 5 sentences for each modal verbs. Let's continue developing your skills using conditionals in expressing arguments. The first question that you are going to ask is, what are conditionals? These are statements that describe both hypothetical and real scenarios. Conditional sentences consist of 2 parts. The if clause, which is a condition, and the main clause, which is the result. For example, if it rains, we will cancel the trip. If it rains is the if clause, which is the condition. While we will cancel is the main clause, which is the result. I have here video that would explain the meaning of real and unreal conditionals and their examples.
Hello everyone, this is Teacher Grace. And today, we are going to discuss the topic using real and unreal conditionals in expressing arguments. This video tutorial is based on your learning activity sheet in English 9, Quarter 1, Week 2. So, bring out your learning activity sheet and turn your learner's module to pages 206 to 207. Our learning target for this session is use conditionals in expressing arguments. Before the lesson, let's have some warm-up questions. I have here 2 questions for you to answer. The first question is, if I have a day off from work, I am going to go to the beach. What is the meaning of this statement? Timer starts now. What do you think is the answer? Excellent. The answer is, I have to wait until I have a day off. The next question is, if he had time, he could take a long vacation. What is the meaning of this statement? Timer starts now. think is the answer? Very good. The answer is he doesn't have time. Let's define conditional sentence. A conditional sentence expresses the idea that the action in the main clause can only happen when a certain condition is fulfilled. Real conditionals in the present use the simple present tense form of the verb in both the if clause and the result. For example, if the weather changes suddenly, I get a headache. The situation is factual. Real conditionals in the future use the simple present tense form of the verb in the if clause plus future tense form of the verb in the main clause. For example, if it rains a lot tonight, they will call off school tomorrow. The situation is an example of prediction. Real conditionals in the future use the simple present tense form of the verb in the if clause plus modal and the base form of the verb in the main clause. For example, if you have time, you should visit the local museum. The situation is an advice or suggestion. Real conditionals in the future use the simple present tense form of the verb in the if clause plus imperative in the main clause. For example, if it rains, don't open the windows. The situation is an example of instruction. Unreal conditionals in the present or future use the simple past form in the if clause plus would, could, or might, and the base form of the verb in the result clause. For example, if he had time, he could take a long vacation. The situation is imaginary. Another example, if I were you, I would plan the picnic for Sunday. The situation is not possible. What is a conditional sentence? A conditional sentence expresses the idea that the action in the main clause or the result clause can only happen when a certain condition or the clause that begins with if is fulfilled. What is real conditional? Real conditional is often used when stating facts, general knowledge, habits, predictions, advice, or instructions. What is unreal conditional? Unreal conditional in the present or future expresses situations that are untrue, not possible, or imaginary in the present and that probably will not happen in the future.
Now, let's check if you are able to comprehend the concept of conditionals. Complete the phrases or the sentences with the correct conditional verbs. This will help you gain mastery in using conditionals. This time, application will be done on tasks 7.1 and 7.2, pages 192 to 193, and tasks 8, 9, and 10 pages 206 up to 207. Write your answer on a yellow paper. Let us now start to walk through the activities in day 2. Employ the appropriate communicative style for various situations such as intimate, casual, formal, consultative, and frozen. Let's define first language register. It is the level of formality with which you speak to others. Different situations and people call for different registers or styles. The 5 language registers are as follows. First is the frozen or static register. That refers to written or oral language. That rarely or never changes. Second, formal register is less personal and used when writing for professional or academic purposes. Next is consultative, a register that is formal in speech, often used when consulting an expert such as doctor, lawyer, engineer, or counselor. Then, the casual register. This is informal language used among peers and friends. Lastly is intimate. This communication is private and reserved for close family members or intimate people such as couples, siblings, parents, and children. For you to have a clearer perspective of language register and its types, everyone is requested to listen and learn as I play another educational video about language registers.
What is a language register? Language register is the level of formality with which you speak. There are 5 language registers or styles. Deciding which language is appropriate depends on your audience, topic, and situation. It is important to remember that different situations and people call for different registers. So what are the 5 language registers? Number 1, frozen or static register. These are specific written or oral acts that never or rarely change, hence the name frozen or static. Because they don't change, they sometimes include old grammar or vocabulary. They are cultural, usually related to the religions, laws, or customs of the community. They are usually unidirectional, meaning they don't involve back and forth communication. This type of language is often learned and repeated by rote memory. Some examples include biblical verses, prayers, national anthems, religious books, laws, famous speeches, and the Bill of Rights. Number 2, formal register. This language is used in formal settings and is one way in nature. It is impersonal and often follows a prescripted format. The speaker uses complete sentences, avoids slang, and may use technical or academic vocabulary. It is likely that the speaker will use fewer contractions but always stand for complete words. For example, they use have not instead of haven't. This is the register used for most academic and scientific publishing. Examples of formal register includes business presentations, research paper, essays in schools, interviews, TED Talks, and announcements. Number 3, consultative register. It is a two-way communication used in a conversation. People use this register often in conversation when they're speaking with someone who has specialist knowledge or is offering advice. In other words, this is the register we use when consulting an expert such as a doctor. The language used is more precise and the tone is often respectful. Examples are teachers with students, lawyers talking to a client, doctor to a patient, superior to subordinate, and many others. Number 4, casual register. This is informal language used by peers and friends. Slang, vulgarities, and colloquialisms are normal. It's probably the one you think of when you consider how you talk with other people, often in a group setting. And since this is a group language, one must be member to engage in this register, like buddies, teammates, chats and emails and blogs, and letters to friends. Number 5, intimate register. This communication is private. It is a language used between persons who share a close relationship or bond. This register would take into account certain terms of endearment, slangs, or expressions whose meaning is shared with a small subset of persons. For example, lovers having special terms of endearment, mothers giving pet names to their children based on some character trait, and best friends formulating slangs based on some shared past experience. Intimate language may be something as simple as an inside joke between two college friends or a word whispered in a lover's ear. As a rule, one can usually transition from one language register to an adjacent one without encountering repercussions. However, skipping one or more levels is usually considered inappropriate and even offensive. So what is the importance of knowing when and how to move between registers? A speaker may move from one register to another with ease. For example, it is not uncommon for you to address your classmate casually and then adopt a more consultative register when speaking with your teacher. If one register is expected and another is presented, the result can be either that offense is taken or a comic response. For example, on the TV show Big Bang Theory, Sheldon's character often uses the higher consultative register with his friends, as well as everyone else. He sometimes seems stuck in the world of high-level vocabulary, unable to speak in the lower casual register that his friends use among themselves. The result is comedic. The audience laughs at his social awkwardness and an inability to understand that he can and should adapt his speech to different contexts. It is important to understand the differences between registers so you can use language that is appropriate for a particular situation. If your register is too high, you may come across as being snobby, pretentious, or arrogant. If your register is too low, you can come across as being inappropriately informal or too friendly. Knowing what various registers are, how to differentiate between them, and when to use which one increases your chances of being accepted by groups and speakers in a variety of contexts.
Okay, as a review, you can now read the SLA and then do tasks A and B. This time, let's proceed in the usage of appropriate punctuation marks and capitalization to convey meaning. I'm sure all of you are familiar with capitalization and punctuation marks, right? I want you to recall what you have learned in your previous years. What is capitalization? It is the writing of a word with its first letter in the uppercase and the remaining letters in the lower case. Three main purposes of capitalization: indicates the beginning of a sentence, show important words, and signal proper names and official titles. On the other hand, punctuation marks are symbols that are used to aid the clarity and comprehension of written language. It helps the reader to clearly understand the message that is being conveyed. The common punctuation marks are the period, comma, question mark, exclamation point, apostrophe, quotation mark, and hyphen. You are now instructed to read delay and do the tasks. In your capitalization worksheet, you are given 10 sentences with no capital letters at all. Hence, you are asked to identify which letters should be capitalized. Let's take a look at number 1. I visited Mr. Smith, the chairman of the board, on September 10. Which of the given words must be capitalized? Let us identify the answer. Okay, the pronoun I should be capitalized. What's next? Very good, Mr. Smith, which is the name of a person. Then what else? Excellent. September, which is the name of a month, must also be written in a capital letter. Let's give a hand of applause for those who were able to get the correct answer. Your journey in the activities provided in day 3. This time in day 3, the topic is all about performing tasks by following instructions. Instruction is the act of educating, giving the steps that must be followed, or an order. Now, you are asked to read and do tasks 3 and 5, pages 4 to 5. On the given activity, you are going to deal with the person you admired most and his achievements in the field that interests you. On this part, you are going to mention the person you idolized or your inspiration in life and enumerate his contribution or the reasons that make that person successful in his life. Then plot the roles you played in the past, at the present, and in the future. For you to be guided in answering the given activity, just follow the instructions asked in the given task. Do you believe in a saying that a picture says 1,000 words? In the given activity, you are going to draw thoughts, feelings, and interactions based on the presented picture and relate them to real-life experiences for you to understand the message. You are asked to read and answer Task 8, page 8, using your English 9 textbook. This time, by looking at the picture, you will be able to perceive the presence of the ship, sea, tugboat, port, and the boy. If you will be asked based on your own opinion, what do they represent? Look closely at the drawing and put yourself at the boy's shoes for you to broaden one's horizon and imagination. By doing this, you will be able to derive at the correct interpretation. Referring at the given activity, let's give emphasis to these two questions taken from the guide questions. What do you think the drawing wants you to believe? And what details of the drawing tells you about recognizing and performing roles in life? Were you able to gain knowledge for today? I hope you have learned a lot from our lesson. Stay tuned for the next session. I am Teacher Ruth, saying discover, enjoy, and experience the challenging adventure of learning English 9.
Oras na ng Wonder Learning Exploration. Ako si Wonder Teacher Melvin. Tara na! Ang mundo ng STEM ating tuklasin. Mahilig ka bang maglaro gamit ang iyong cellphone? Nasubukan mo na bang sumakay ng eroplano? Alam mo ba kung paano ito nakakalipad? Lahat ng mga ito ay nagiging posible dahil sa STEM. Mula sa pagkain, teknolohiya, medisina at iba pang mga bagay sa paligid ay bunga ng mga pag-aaral gamit ang STEM. Ano nga ba ang STEM at bakit natin kailangan ito? Ang STEM ay isang interdisciplinary approach sa pag-aaral kung saan nagsasama-sama ang larangan ng science, technology, engineering at mathematics. Ang STEM ay hindi lang isang academic track sa senior high school. Ito ay isang pag-aaral kung saan nililinang ang kaalaman at kakayahan ng mga mag-aaral sa critical thinking at problem solving. Ayon sa World Economic Forum, 65% ng mga mag-aaral sa kasalukuyan ay makakakuha ng mga trabaho na hindi pa umiiral sa ngayon. At 60% naman ng mga trabaho ngayon ay kinakailangan ng mga kasanayang may kaugnayan sa STEM. Kasabay ng pagbabago at pag-udlad ng ating mundo, unti-unti na ring nakikilala ng mga Pilipino ang kahalagahan ng STEM. Mahalagang ihanda ang ating mga kabataan sa kaalaman at kasanayan sa pagbibigay ng kahulugan sa mundo at lutasin ang mga mapanghamong suliranin sa bansa at sa paligid. Kaya naman, Wonder Explorers, laging buksan ang isipan sa pagtuklas. Dahil sa STEM, lahat ay nalulutas. Ako si Wonder Teacher Melvin. See you on the next STEM adventure.
Enjoy learning. Enjoy listening. 106.3 Radio City High. You listen to learn.
Labis na naiinip,
106.3 Radio City High. You listen to learn.
You're still tuning in to 106.3 Radio City High. You listen to learn. Up next is Mathematics 9. Again, only here at 106.3 Radio City High. You listen to learn.
Iligan City National High School Campus, Radio City High, is committed to respond to the immediate education emergency. That is to widen the access to education by bringing it to where the learners are. 106.3 Radio City High. You listen to learn.
Wala, di ko kabasa. Sa manay, sayag kayo. Hello and welcome once again, dear students. Aniya na usab ako karon, si Teacher Yvonne, ang inyong alagad sa kahanginan karong takna. Before we begin, mo-greet sa ako og maayong morning sa tanang mga naminaw karon sa atong galanog-lanog nga radio station sa Iligan, ang 106.3 Radio City High. You listen to learn. Ug sa mga nagtanaw usab sa atong Facebook Live, especially sa atong mga grade 9 students, good morning yun diha mga langga. Ilabi na sa akong advisory class ang grade 9 yakal. Good morning! Ug usab, hello to grade 9 Almasiga. Inubanan sa ilang maanyag nga advisor, si Miss Mary Rose Rumitman. Good morning nimo diha, ma'am. Ug usab mapasalamaton kay ko ani nga section ang grade 9 John F. Kennedy. Inubanan sa ilang ambungan ug manggialamon nga math teacher si Mr. Verhel Talaid. Good morning nimo diha, sir. Kaning mga Canadians supportive gyud ni sila gikan pa sa pagsugod. No? Hangtod karon, no, gasupport gyud ni sila, gasunod sila sa atong programa. Salamat kaayo sa inyo mga dudong ug mga inday. Mogreet pod ko og maayong buntag sa atong maabtikon og ambungan nga school principal nga walay lain si Mr. Rex Laurazo. Good morning nimo diha, sir. Hinaot nga nagtan-aw ka karon taknaa. Ug usab maayong buntag kang Ma'am Manny Rose Pagara, ang iyang gwapa nga secretary. Good morning usab sa among masinabtanon ug maanyag nga department heads. Duha na ni sila karon, no? Sa grade 9 and 10, si Ma'am Annabel E. de Guzman. Ug ang bag-o lang na install kagahapon lang gyud. Ang grade 7 and grade 8 department head, si Ma'am Evelyn Ramos III. Congratulations, Ma'am Evelyn. Okay, usab maayong buntag, no? Sa among mahimsog o maabtikon nga education supervisor sa mathematics, si Sir Exkiel Brian Aron. Good morning diha, sir. Hinaot nga nagtan-aw ka karong taknaa. And most especially, di gyud na ako ni kalimtan ang ako mga co-teacher sa mathematics department, no? Mga sir and ma'am, good morning ninyo diha. Og ilabi na gyud, no, sa akong duha ka BFF, no? Dungan gyud na ako ni paniudto. Kada paniudto na agyud ko mangayo ko sa ilang sudan. No, good morning diha, mayong pagtan-aw ni Ma'am Rodora og ni Ma'am Mafet. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today, we're going to nourish your minds with the useful information to improve your mathematics skills. We will be having Math 9, Quarter 1, Week 2, which is all about quadratic functions. Before we start, you have to prepare the following. At the self-learning activity sheets, a pen and papers to write your solutions as we progress to our discussion. Are we all set? So let's begin. We will be discussing the models of quadratic functions. So our objective for today is to model the real-life situations using quadratic functions. We will be discussing the models of quadratic functions. So our only objective here is to model real life, okay? Is to model real life situations using quadratic functions. Okay, so first, we are going to determine whether each function is linear or not. So na ako'y pulo kabuok examples here. Og atong tan-awon kung asa diri ang linear, no? Dayon ato dayong chikan. Okay. So we have here the first. So this is linear, no? Y is equal to x plus 5, no? You observe na to, ha? Nganong linear? Okay. Next. This is also linear. X plus y equals negative 2. Okay. Another. We have y is equal to 3 times the quantity x minus 7. Okay, another. We have 5y is equal to 10x plus 15. Okay, so na pa. We have y is equal to x over 2 plus 5. Notice, no, nga kani siya mga linear man ni. So, nakita nato nga the highest exponent or the highest degree of the variable is just 1, no? Okay. So, dayon, siguro naglibog mo, no, aning equation kaning y is equal to the quantity x minus 2 times the quantity x plus 3, no? Kay tan-aw na to at the first look at this equation or function, no? Naa siya, ang x niya is, the exponent is just 1. So, linear ba ka ni siya? Okay, so class, remember that this are the function, the factors, no? Factors man ni siya of a trinomial. So, kung ato ning what's this? I-simplify, no? Atong i-multiply. X times x, that is already squared. So, mahitabo, mahimo siyang, the product will be x squared plus x minus 6. Okay? So, ang iyahang highest degree now of the variable is 2. Now, kung ganing mga gicheka na to are all linear functions, so, unsa ka di ay ning uban nga wala na chike? No? Na kay y is equal to x squared minus 2x plus 1. We have another y is equal to x squared. Y is equal to 2x squared plus 5. And also, y is equal to the quantity x minus 2 times the quantity x plus 3. And the last is y is equal to 7 minus x squared. Na ay naobserbahan ninyo, no? Aning mga functions diri. No? What is the highest degree of the variable? Okay? Saman. 2. Very good. So, kaganina 1 ang degree, highest degree. Karon 2. So, all these are examples of quadratic functions. So, unsa dining quadratic functions? So, I will read to you the formal definition of the quadratic function. It is a function that can be written in the form of y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, no? Mo ni ang form sa quadratic function. Okay, kaning y, pwede sad nato ni siya ma-express sa lain nga letter, no? Dili lang kay y. Pwede po siya f, so gamiton din nato f of x. So, the function of x, f in terms of x. Okay? Pwede po lain nga letter, q of x. Ano, no? So, kani, ang general form niya is just y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so, ang a daw, b, and c are all real numbers. So, kaning real numbers, okay, gikan sa negative integers, paingon sa positive integers. And that includes katong fractions and decimals. And also, you have to consider that this a should not be equal to 0. Again, no, sa akong gi-explain last time, nga katong sa quadratic equation, kung ang A parehas ra gihapon kay kung ang A mahimong 0, mawala ang iyahang quadratic term. So, ang function mahimo na lang siyang linear function, not anymore a quadratic function. Kung ang A is 0. So, there should be a restriction that your A should not be 0. Okay. The next thing we consider is the highest exponent of the variable is 2. Okay, always 2 kay quadratic man. Okay? Hence, it is called a second degree function. So, ang quadratic function is also called a second degree function. Okay, so naapag yun siya, no? Ato pag yung i-consider that the graph of a quadratic function is a parabola. Sama ng parabola, no? So, ang parabola is a curve. Okay? So, naata diri, no? Ang parabola, muna siya ang equation nga y, or the quadratic function, nga y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. If your a is greater than 0, that means all the values of a are positive, no? Positive integers. Okay? So, kung a is positive, then the parabola or the graph of the quadratic function, which is a parabola, opens upward. Okay? So, nakita ninyo, no, nga naa siya 2 arrowheads, no? Naa siya 2 arrowheads. That means nga, pwede siya ma-extend, no, infinitely. Pwede pag siya depende sa iyang quadratic function. Okay? Now, kanang iyahang lowest point diha, no? That is what we call the vertex. Okay? At the minimum value, no? Kaya naman siya sa lowest point. Now, if the values of A or A is less than 0 or katong mga values sa A nga mga negative integers. Okay, so the graph or the parabola opens downward. So, ang iyang vertex ani naa sa highest points or the maximum value. Okay, so muna ang graph, no? Graph sa quadratic function is a parabola. Now, kanang pwede ba kaha siya, no, nga sideward, no? Open sidewards or to the right or to the left. Pwede ba? Okay, definitely not. Nga naman, kay dili na siya function kung mag-open siya sideward. So, only to consider sa parabola, opens upward and opens downward. Okay, klaro ba? So, let's proceed. Now, we're going to identify if the graph represents quadratic function. So, natay mga, nakoy panghatag nga mga graphs, no? Then, ato ding identify kung quadratic ba siya o dili. Okay, so number 1. Is this graph represents quadratic function? Okay, klaro kaayo nga quadratic function. Kay parabola siya that opens upward. Okay? Now, next. Is this graph represents quadratic function? Okay, dili, no? This is not a quadratic function kay, no? Dili man siya parabola on wave-like, no? Ang iyang graph. So, dili ni siya quadratic function but this is a polynomial function. So, you will take this up kung maabot mo grade 10. Okay, next, number 3. Unsa ni nga graph? This is a line. So definitely, this is not a quadratic function, but a linear function. Okay, number 4. Is this a quadratic function? Of course, yes, because the graph is a parabola that opens. Saman. Very good. Downward. Okay, next. Is this a parabola? Yes, parabola siya that opens upward. So, this is a quadratic function. Next. Okay, Sama ni, quadratic function? Very good. This is not a quadratic function kay ang iyang graph is not a parabola but instead it is a circle. Okay. So klaro na kayo ha. Kabalo na mo identify kung ang graph quadratic function ba or not. Okay, so let's proceed. Which of the following real-life models represents a linear function or quadratic function? So na ako'y mga real-life models nga akong ihatag, no? Karon, then you are going to select or tell, no? Kung quadratic ba siya or linear. Okay? Number 1, Richard predicted that the number of mango trees, which is represented by X, planted in a farm could yield Y is equal to negative 20X squared plus 2,800X per year. Okay. Is this a quadratic or a linear function? O, tanawan na to ang iyahang function given ha. Y is equal to negative 20X squared. What? See? The highest degree is 2 of the variable is 2. So, is this a quadratic or a linear function? Very good. It is a quadratic function because the highest degree of the variable is 2. Okay, next. We have this. A banana dealer has a total cost function C of X equals 10X plus 2,500, where X is the number of kilos of bananas, and the profit function of P of X is equal to 18X minus 2,500. Okay. So, tanan na to ha, sa duha ka function, what is the highest degree of the variable? Saman. Okay, very good. Only one. Okay, so, is this a linear or quadratic function? Very good. It is a linear function. Na naman, because the highest degree of the variable is just 1. Klaro ba? Okay, so let's... If a wire of 2,500 feet is to be used to fence a rectangular lot, then the area of the fenced lot is represented by the function A of X is equal to X times the quantity 1,200 minus X. Okay, this is the figure, illustration. Okay, so look at the function. We have here X times the quantity 1,200 minus X. Okay, so we're going to simplify this, no, para maklaro na to. If this is a quadratic or linear, kay tanaw na to ang iyang highest degree of the variable. Now, kung atong i-multiply ang X times negative X, that is negative X squared. Okay? So, now, is this a linear or quadratic function? Very good. This is a quadratic function because the highest degree of a variable is 2. Dahil na punta. Which of the following equations represents quadratic functions? Okay, so maghatag ko 5 ka mga equations and then you're going to tell if this is a quadratic or not. So check or cross out lang. Cross lang ta, no? Or X. Okay, first, we have y equals to X. Quadratic function or not? Of course, dili gid siya quadratic function. Why? Because the highest degree of the variable X is just 1. Next. Y is equal to 3x squared minus 5x. Oh, klaro kayo. What is the highest degree of the variable X? Okay, very good. 2. So, this makes this quadratic equation be a quadratic function. This equation be quadratic function. Okay, next. Y minus 2nt is equal to x. Now, if you're going to transpose negative 20 to the right, what will happen? So we will have the equation y is equal to x plus 20. But notice that the highest exponent of the variable x is just 1. So again, this is not a quadratic function. Next, we have y is equal to 4x cubed minus 5x plus 1. So tanawa ang highest degree of the degree of the variable x. Pila man? 3. So dili siya quadratic function. Okay? Next, which is the last. Y is equal to the product of the quantity x plus 2 times the quantity x plus 3. Now, kani siya, factors man eh. Kung kwaon na to ang product, mahimo siyang trinomial. So, the first term will be a, sa man siya. So, na kay x times x, that is x squared. So, saan man siya? Quadratic function. Very good. Okay. I will give you some examples of quadratic models, no? So, makita yun nato nga naa di ay math everywhere, no? Kay na may mga models that represents quadratic functions. Okay, so we have here the first picture, first example. Okay, so we have, what is this? This is a canyon, no? Rock formation is here. Nga, ang iyang form na siya arc, no? Or a parabola, no? Naka-form siya parabola. This is an example of a quadratic model. Okay, next. Ang kuan ni siya, no? Base ni siya sa bridge, no? Nga naka-form pud siya og parabola. Daghay mga parabola, no? Nindot jud kay siguro ni nga bridge, no? Lig-on kay ni. Okay, next. This is the logo of McDonald's, no? How many parabola here can you see? No? Duha, no? Duha ka parabola. So this is an example of quadratic model. Okay? Next, kanino? Kanang mag-shoot ka og basketball. Okay, so dili man pwede nga impaglabay nimo na in a straight formation, no? Okay, di gid ka makashoot. So it should be in projectile motion, no? Kung maka-form siya og arc or parabola, no? Para makashoot. Okay? It's a ring. Next, we have this. Now, this is an Eiffel Tower. Ang iyahang base niya, napod siya arc formation, no? So, form po siya og parabola. That opens downward. Sa garan, downward. Of course, kay base man siya. Next. Okay, naapod tayo fountain. So, naapod siya parabola, no? Naka-form po siya og parabola. So, daghan pag yun, no? Daghan pag yung mga models that can represent a quadratic function. Okay? So, kanilang unom. Okay? Then, maka-appreciate po mo math, no? Ma-realize ninyo nga math is everywhere. Whether it is man-made creation or God's creation. No? Naagyod siya. Tanan mga objects na ay example na siya are models, no? Sa mathematics. Okay? Appreciate sa ninyo ang math, di ba? Okay, so quiz time na ta, no? Kani, maghatag na po kog load sa maka-answer, ha? Inabtikay ni, kay paunahay man. I will give 5 questions, no? Sa kada question na siya'y premium nga 20 pesos worth of load. Okay, so paunahay. na ay tagaan ta mo og 5 seconds to answer each question. Okay. So good luck ha, mga grade 9 students. Okay. Number 1. The graph of a quadratic function is called A. Horizontal line, B. Vertical line, C. Parabola, D. Circle. Time starts now. Okay, time is up. The correct answer is C. Parabola. Okay, very good ha. Congratulations sa naka-answer. Okay, isulat lang imong answer ha, imuhang sa cellphone number kay aron maloadan ti ka no sa nakauna og answer it correctly. Okay. Next, number 2. Which of the following represents a quadratic function? O, asa man ani? A, B, C, or D? Asa ani ang nag-represents a quadratic function? Time starts now. Time is up. The correct answer is letter A. Congratulations sa naka-answer, nakaunag tubag, no? Answer it correctly. Congratulations. You will receive 20 pesos worth of load. Okay, next. Quadratic function is any function of the form y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are real numbers. And is a equal to 0? A not equal to 0? A greater than or equal to 0? Or A is less than or equal to 0? Time starts now. Okay. The correct answer is letter B. A is not equal to 0. Congratulations sa naka-answer. You will receive 20 pesos worth of load. Okay, just write your cell phone number. Okay, next, number 4. Which of the following situations represents a quadratic functions? Asa man ani, B? Tanawon lang ninyo ang iyang mga given quadratic functions. Okay, ang mga functions, no? Is it quadratic ba? A, B, C, or D? Time starts now. Okay, time is up. The correct answer is letter D. Congratulations sa naka-answer it correctly. O katong nakaunag yun siya ha. O write sa comment, no? Okay, you will receive 20 pesos worth of load. Congratulations! And the last, no, dirita sa last, which is the easiest question. Which of the following graph represents quadratic function? Okay, letter A, B, C, and D. Asa man ani? Time starts now. Okay, time is up. The correct answer is letter A, no? Parabola. Okay, congratulations sa mga naka-answer, no? Makadawat ka mo og load nga 20 pesos worth of loads diya sa inyong cellphone. Inyo lang ibutang ang inyong CP number, no? Diya sa comment. Dayon, unya after sa lunch, during sa lunch break, ako na dayon mong loadan. Congratulations! Okay, diha ra ko tama, no? Salamat kaayo sa pagpaminaw o paglantaw sa FB Live, no? Thank you very much and goodbye. Happy eating sa inyong lunch.
It's time for another Wonder Learning Exploration. Ako, si Wonder Teacher Melvin. Tara na! Kaalaman sa STEM, ating pagyamanin. Alam niyo ba, on average, ang Pilipinas ay nakakaranas ng 20 typhoons every year? At 7 to 8 sa mga ito ang nakakapag-landfall. Marami ng matitinding bagyo ang dumaan sa ating bansa, ngunit may isang lugar sa Pilipinas ang ever ready sa mga malalakas na bagyo o matitinding init ng panahon. Lakbayin natin at tuklasin ang Batanes. Bilang exit track ng bagyo sa bansa, ang locals ng Batanes ay natutong mag-survive sa wild weather. Paano? Well, it's no secret. Mga ka-wonder, STEM lang to! Bunga ng creative thinking and innovation skills sa STEM na buo ang Ivatan Houses upang makayanan ang hagupit ng bagyo. Gamit ang mga materials na sagana at readily available sa community, ang pader ng Ivatan Houses ay gawa sa coral stones at ginagamitan ng limestone mixture para mabuo ang pader na nasa 1 meter ang kapal. Mas makapal ang pader, mas matatag. Ang bubong naman nito ay gawa sa pinatuyo at pinagpatong-patong na cogon grass. Maninipis ang hibla nito kaya walang tulo tuwing umuulan. O, di ba? Sky is the limit sa pagiging creative. Kaya kahit ilang bagyo pa ang hahampas, Ivatan Houses sa Batanes, malakas! Wonder Explorers, isipay panatilihing bukas. Sa STEM, halina't tumuklas. Ako, si Wonder Teacher Melvin. Mga ka-wonder, keep on exploring!
Enjoy learning. Enjoy listening. 106.3 Radio City High. You listen to learn.
Grabe no, daghan kayo ni participate kaganina na itong mga estudyante. Congratulations di ay sa mga nakadaog. Kaganina nag-lecture yung maestra regarding sa quadratic equation and linear equation. Basta math. Alright, so ato ding i-shoutout na nan mga naminaw karon ng mga grade 9 students all over Iligan City National High School. Alright, so murag daghan-daghan dyan ni sila da. Di, atong tagsa-tagsaw nagbasa ilang mga pangalan. Magsugod ta ka. Asa man ni kay paspas kay ilang mga comments dire. Alright, so wait sa ha. To sang tanawon. Okay, so let's start with Chris Joy Magarao. Yes, or Magaraon, saan kang ipagbasa siyang apelyido. We have Leon Helena Sumampong. We have Janila Lindangan. We have RJ Magsayo. Erwin, wala lang apelyido siyang Facebook. We have Kizea Gif Villaver. We have Vanessa Roma Colminaz. Eldin Neal. Janila Lindangan, Grace Bangos, Kia Jess, or unsang ni pagbasa siya pangalan no? Kia Jess, Michelle Calizo, we have Erica Nicole Annie, Chris Joy Magarao, nabasa na niya ang pangalan. Alright, so kinsa pa yato ipa-shoutout be? Ato yung basa-basa. Alright, DI, congratulations. Ayun si Ma'am Rodora Galorio Dre. Congratulations Ma'am Yvonne Sumalinog. Dayon, nangutana si Erwin. Kinsa may nakauna? Okay, so ani ni siya guys. Inyong teacher gatanaw karon sa live stream og sila na bahala mo hatag kanyog load. Og sila na po'y nagbantay kung kinsa ba gayon nakauna atong pag-answer sa mga questions. No? Good luck kung kinsa tong malodan. Ganday. We have Rayhana Makud. We have also kinsa pa kanino? Juliana Fresado. nabasa na niya ang mga pangalan, no? Alright. Dayon ni Ana si Sorahana Gabriel. Sana all. Sana all na load. Anyway, para dilal kanse ani ni siya. Muna gitawag na ako na segment pabaga og tingog. Because karon, okay, so muhatag ko og 20 peso worth of load karong adlaw og ang pangutana ani. 'Di ba mag-solve ta? Okay, before ta mag hatag og question di ay no. So ani no, unsa ka tong mechanics. Alright, ani na lang. Kung kinsa may una hatag silang number atong tawagan dayon atong tawagan on air dayon ato day siyang pangutanon pero ihatag na to ang question daan para makapanagang sila no. Okay, so una ang mechanics din nato is kung kinsa tong pinakauna wala pa ha unya nag-comment sa inyong number ani. So kung kinsa tong unang maka-comment sa ilahang number pero tagad sa mo sa kung queue na go ha. Wow. Kung kinsa tong unang maka-comment sa ilahang number mo to atong unang tawagan dahil ato day siyang pangutanon sa kanina question. Di ba na atay upat ka methods for solving quadratic equation na atay factoring, square root, completing the square o quadratic formula. Ang pangutana unsay form sa quadratic formula. Kanara kong pangutana. Okay ha? Again, kanara kong pangutana ha. 'Di ba na atay upat ka methods for solving quadratic equation, na atay factoring, square root, completing the square and quadratic formula. Ang pangutana, unsay itsura sa quadratic formula? More ka na. Go! Comment naman sa inyong mga number. Murag adlock sila tawagan. Anyway, hello sa mga 15 million viewers. Labi million dito. 15,000 lang. Alright. So, murag walay mo comment silang number. Ang saan kanin nato sila, no? Okay. So, again, atong basahon ang mechanics pagbalik. Basta mo ingon na ganit ko og go, tagaan ta mo og 20 peso load. Ang dayon, Yan na. Nawala ko. Ang unang maka-comment sa ilang number, atong tawagan, dayon storya nato on air, dayon atong ipatubag dayon sa pangutana nga unsay itsura sa quadratic formula. Kanara. Dayon na dayon siya load. Kung maka-answer siya na siya load worth 20 pesos. Agay, kaluya. Makaluya, wala nag-comment. Napabay na minaw ron. Anyway, nag-post si Ma'am Sumalinog dere. Congratulations to the following winners. We have Oliver Adlawan, Grace Bangos, Janila Lindangan, Oliver Adlawan, Erica Nicole Ani. Ana din si ma'am na please give me your contact number. Okay, so sa katong gipang mention na ma'am na pangalan diri sa comment section, please paki-PM ninyo si ma'am. Or kaha i-comment lang, i-click lang ang reply dayon, dira lang dayon ibutang ang inyong numbers. Okay, so si RJ Magsayon, i-comment sa iyang number ato siyang tawagan karon. Wait for a while. Tagad lang ha, tagad lang. Tagad lang jud, gamayng pasensya lang. Basing gato, pamugulay na itawhan. Napako dire, wait for a while. Alright, so ani na lang no, murag nadaot ako ang phone, sorry kayo. Alright, so RJ Magsayo. Hello? Hello RJ Magsayo, wala ka takatawag ya, basing gato ka. Anyway, so ani ni siya. Ang pangutana is we have 4 methods of solving quadratic equation, di ba? Factoring, square root, completing the square, o quadratic formula. Ang pangutana kay, unsay formula, unsay turaan ng quadratic formula? Isend na dayon ang imuhang answers sa to ang Facebook page 106.3 Radio City High. Kay nay kakulian ato ang linya karon. Okay. Go, magtagad ko dayon ako dayon tanawon kung correct ba ang imong answer. Bahalag mo gamit ka Google basta kung correct imong answer. Lodan dayon takag worth 20 peso low. Quadratic formula ha. Wala ko nangutana unsay graph ana. Ang unsay itsura sa formula anang quadratic formula. Alright, so while nagtagad ko sa answer ni kinsa ganito kaganina na nag-PM siyang number RJ Magsayo. Let's say goodbye. Let's say goodbye for now. O later on, natay mga pipila pa ka mga subjects na nabilin, which is di Aralin Panglipunan, TLE, and MAPE. Alright, so you're still tuning in to 106.3 Radio City. Hi! You listen to learn.
City National High School Campus, Radio City High is committed to respond to the